On small teams, big impacts, we're always looking for an interesting new business idea. And here's one that will help you put ride sharing in place in your organization. And it's called Zimride, and we're going to learn all about it right now. Who are you?
My name is John Zimmer. I'm the co-founder and COO of Zimride. And I went to the hotel school at Cornell, East Coast native. After Cornell, I worked at Lehman Brothers in Manhattan. And luckily, 3 months before they went bankrupt, I used Zimride to get across the country and move out to Palo Alto.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So what is Zimride?
So Zimride, what we're doing is we're building a marketplace for drivers who have empty seats in their car to sell them to passengers who need a ride. So another simple way to think about it is Airbnb for seats. So 80%, if you're looking on the highway, 80% of seats are empty currently. And so we're creating that marketplace to buy and sell those seats.
Oh, that's really cool. So if we're going down to South by Southwest in Texas,
yep,
we can say, hey, we're going.
Yeah.
Anybody want to ride and pay for gas and buy me a steak dinner or something like that?
Exactly. Yeah. The average seat right now to LA is selling for $35. So on a round trip, you can make about over $200 selling 3 seats in your car.
Very cool.
Yeah.
How did you get into this?
So in college, I took this class called Green Cities, and it was about taking simple design changes to large infrastructure to make it more efficient. And one of the lessons was on transportation. And it was, I remember the professor, he put up slides. He had images of a canal infrastructure, railroad, and then highways. And so I started thinking, as he kept talking, what's going to be next on this evolution of transportation? And I was surprised that within a relatively short amount of time, we could build this huge canal infrastructure and then, not use it. But I did feel that this highway infrastructure, which is, I believe, the largest public works project ever in terms of how much it cost, I believe that was around for a long time. And so I thought, what could change about that, and what's wrong with that? And the fact that it's 20% efficient, or 80% of seats are empty, is what I thought needed to be resolved. Yeah. And so started thinking the answer is carpooling. But then I felt like carpooling sucks. And so I said, why is that? What is missing? And I started asking people on campus at Cornell, would you share a ride with someone? They said, I don't know. We said, well, what if we could tell you for sure it was another Cornell student? And they said, yeah, of course. It was like this night and day reaction. And so we realized by adding in a layer of social networks, thanks to the social graph that Facebook has built, we can help get to that point for most anyone. We can tell you who you have mutual friends with, mutual interests, where they went to school.
You can make them a little bit more real and not the wacko, thumbing a ride on the side of the road, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. You're used by all these big companies, right? I think
yeah.
Facebook uses you and
yeah.
other companies. Why are they using it, and why? How are you using the companies, and why are they using you to provide their ride sharing, I guess?
Yeah. So early on in the beginning, my co-founder Logan and myself, we first, we still have this big vision of we want to make this work everywhere for everyone, and so that you could take the bus, you could fly, or you could Zimride. But we quickly realized that we needed to make it happen in a small geography first, and so we went back to our own schools. Logan was at UC Santa Barbara, I was at Cornell, and we asked them to promote the service, and they said, we can't promote outside businesses. And then we stumbled upon the idea, well, maybe if we white label this solution for them and give them, Zimride at Cornell and allow only Cornell members to sign in. There's some similarities to how when Facebook, got started on these campuses, but we actually got them to pay us for this service. And the reason they're paying us is because currently a lot of universities and companies are space constrained in terms of parking. And they have the choice at a university, do I build a new physics building, or do I have to build or keep this parking lot? Yeah. And so they need to find ways to reduce demand for parking spots. And
we're like here in Rackspace, we're in downtown San Francisco, and parking's $25 a day. Yeah. So if 3 cars come in, somebody's paying $75, right?
Exactly.
If 1 car comes in with 3 different people, that's $25, and then you can split up the $50 exactly. amongst the rest of us.
Yeah. And the universities to build new parking spots, it's anywhere from $5,000 for like the lowest level to like $40,000 per space if this is, you know, a below ground parking. And so by giving them a solution, a ride sharing solution that actually worked, that actually got people to use it, every single car that it removed was very meaningful.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what's happening with your business? Because you said you're the Airbnb of ride sharing, right?
Yeah.
Airbnb went for 1,000 days without really having much revenue or much profit.
Yeah.
It took that long for their marketplace to evolve. Is it taking that long with yours?
So I guess I use it because it's an easy way of describing what we're doing, but there are definitely some differences in our business model and the challenges of what we're trying to build. So one of the main challenges is how much critical mass we need in a specific area for this to work. You know, we were talking about before that there are, for us, there are 3 main variables. Where Airbnb, it's, you know, place and day. Yep. We have, you know, specific day, specific time, specific place, and then, you know, where you're going to. So 3 variables. We need even more people in the system, and so we had to get creative with ways to get people on the system. And so we really, for the last, I'd say 2.5, 3 years, have focused on building out this enterprise SaaS business where we now have 120 universities and companies paying for this service. And only more recently, in the last 5 or so months, have we also gone after this consumer business where we now, if you go on Zimride.com, you can find a ride to Tahoe, you can sell seats to Tahoe, and you can do the same for Los Angeles. And so now, similar to how other transportation modes have formed, we're going to be, you know, thinking about which different routes to build across the country.
That's really cool. So you sign in with Facebook and you see instantly there's a ride to Tahoe this weekend, and it's by so and so, and you can see how they're related to you and who their friend network is and all that fun stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah.
How do you guys get paid in that model? I understand how you get paid when Rackspace or Facebook or Google signs up for your ride sharing service, but how do you get paid in the consumer world?
So in the consumer piece, we're going to be adding a transaction fee, similar to what Airbnb has. And we'll be doing that in a few months. That hasn't been the focus because we do have the existing revenue, and we want to make sure we're providing a valuable enough experience to the user before that becomes the focus. So today's focus is on adoption, critical mass within these routes, and by late March, April, we'll add in that service fee because, you know, for those routes we believe we're going to be adding, you know, good value where you could fly to LA for $200-300 round trip, or you could Zimride for, you know, $80 round trip. And then the thing that's interesting is when you add up all the time that you take in, you know, getting to the airport, going through security, and then getting from the airport and everything, it's not that much different than when you get door-to-door service through Zimride. And for the, you know, less cost, it's worth it.
How are you funded?
Yeah, so we recently just raised our Series A from Mayfield Fund. We did 6.2 million, and then.
So the investors are excited about this idea.
Yeah, it's a big idea. There are 2.3 billion long-distance car trips in the U.S. every year, and those are trips over 50 miles. And so, you know, this is a very, very big opportunity.
Very cool. Are there any risks? I mean, we saw Airbnb have some problems when there was a house ripped off. What if somebody gets in an accident? How do you? Is there a risk to your business, or is there a risk of using your service that you have to worry about making sure you have proper insurance or something like that?
Yeah, I think with any you know, behavior when individuals are interacting, there are risks. Safety of our users is, you know, the top concern. It's a reason why on our consumer platform we require that you log in with Facebook, and so that you can see how many friends does this person have on Facebook. Do we have mutual friends? What school did they go to? What work did they go to? We have a feedback and rating system. We have a vouching system where you can, maybe I don't have feedback yet because I'm a new user, but I can get my friends to vouch for me. And we'll be continuing to roll out additional features like that. The alternative today is Craigslist. 500,000 rides every year are happening on Craigslist now, and the only thing you know about that other person is an anonymous email address. And so, you know, we're taking a big step forward, and we're going to continue down that road.
What's the demographics of your business? Is it mostly male? Because I would expect females to be like, I'm not sure I'm going to, even if I know that this person's related to this person, I'm not quite so sure. Yeah. Culturally, we're in a weird place there.
Yeah, it's definitely something we're very aware of. But in doing research, our power users are female.
That's surprising.
And yeah, we were surprised and really interested by that. And what in further, talking to them, it could relate to them being more social at times. And also, there is choice with Zimride. So if a female only wants to ride with another female, that's fine. If a female is going with their friend, a lot of times people go with their friend and then have empty seats. Yep. So maybe they'll go with their friend, they'll feel more comfortable having that third party, and then they'll be able to fill up seats. But it was really interesting, exciting that the power users were female.
Interesting.
Or are female, yeah.
What other surprising things have you learned by doing this business?
I think it's funny to hear people's reaction when they do it. I think people have low expectations for this experience. And they come out saying, wow, like I actually really like that person. And we've had really interesting interactions. So we've had a few couples formed after meeting each other, having a good time. We've had best friends. We had someone that told us they met someone from Nepal and were so interested in the culture they ended up studying abroad there. And so it's this community aspect that I think is innate to what we all want. And Facebook kind of gives us a stepping stone. It's kind of a virtual community. But now businesses like Zimride were able to kind of take that into a real, actual physical community. And I think that's been the most exciting piece of it. We had this crazy story, which is like indicative of how small the world is. This female student drove this male student to back home for Thanksgiving break. And they started talking, and they ended up realizing that the guy had studied or had spent the summer where she grew up. The guy was saying that he was hitchhiking one time. And she said, if only my grandfather driven by, he loves picking up people and hearing their stories. And they realized that her grandfather had picked him up. So they're now in Washington State, and they were talking about where she grew up in Idaho. And there had been this crazy interaction with her grandfather. She called her grandfather in the Zimride, and it was crazy. But it was also cool because it kind of ties the old world, which is hitchhiking, to what we're doing today, which is smart ride sharing, seeing who you're riding with.
Very cool. How can people join in? And does it cost anything to join in?
There's no cost to join in. It's you go to Zimride.com. You just search where you're starting from, where you're going to, and when, and then you can buy a seat. If you're a driver, you make frequent trips to Tahoe or Sacramento or LA. You can sign up, post your ride, say where you're starting from, going to, and when. We will suggest a price for you based on the mileage. You can adjust that price to whatever you want. And then post your ride, and you'll be getting 5 to 10 inquiries from passengers pretty quickly after that. Does
the driver have the right to refuse, or if something doesn't feel good?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's I would like a ride in your car, and you can accept or decline me. And we always want our users to feel comfortable knowing they have that choice, and that's why we give all the information with the profiles. Is because in the end, it's they're making an informed decision.
Yeah. Do you have any sense of how many rides don't show up, or if there's a risk that somebody is just a flake? And is there any way to review that person and say, this guy's a flake, he didn't show up when he said he was going to show up?
Yeah. So we do have a review system, a feedback system, and over 99% of feedback is positive. We've done over 40,000 confirmed rides and 99% positive feedback. In the 1 or 2 cases where we've had someone cancel maybe last minute because something else happened for the driver, and it was oftentimes a legitimate reason, we've been able to get the passenger where they needed to go through alternative means.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for telling me about it, and I'm looking forward to trying it.
Awesome. Thanks.